We as individuals spend so much time planning for what success is supposed to look like within our lives. We choose a school, we map out a career, and we build these mental checklists of everything that we're supposed to do and timelines for which to do them. Maybe for you, that plan looks like landing your dream job, or getting into a grad school, or starting a business, or maybe it's getting married and having kids. And somewhere along the way, we convince ourselves that if everything goes according to our plan, that success will be the outcome. We're taught to think of success as something that you can design ahead of time, as long as you plan well enough. But the plans and goals that we make never consider the unexpected things that may happen throughout life that we can't control. And the issue here doesn't come from your plan. It comes from the fact that life rarely ever unfolds the exact way that you imagined it will. Unexpected things will happen. Timelines will shift. Opportunities will change. And new challenges will come up that you never could have accounted for when you first made your plan. And in the moment, it's easy to feel discouraged. And that's because we're still measuring progress based on the original version of success that we created for ourselves. But what if we stopped viewing these setbacks as negative things, and we began to see them as opportunities instead? You see, I've always been someone who's had a plan. And for most of my life, that plan was very clear. I was going to graduate from high school and go play college football somewhere. Everything that I did revolved around that goal. My schedule, my priorities, and at times, even parts of my identity. And by the end of my junior year in high school, everything was lining up perfectly. I was named an all-state football player. I had already received college offers, and I felt that I was so close to taking my next step towards success. And then, after the first football game in my senior year of high school, I had 2 strokes. And in my case, the plan that I built my life around didn't just change, but it ended. There was no time to slowly adjust. There was no chance for me to rework my timeline. One moment, I was moving towards the future that I had planned, and the next, that future was no longer even an option. Now, I hope that nobody in this room will ever experience something that extreme. But at some point, something unexpected will require you to adjust your plan. Maybe you don't get into that graduate program, or maybe you don't land that dream job. Maybe that business you started goes under, or maybe that person that you wanted to marry breaks up with you. And when these things happen, the challenge isn't just the setback itself, but it's figuring out how to continue moving forward when the next step suddenly looks different. And for a long time, I didn't know how to do that, how to take the next step. All I knew was that I couldn't take the next step forward towards my goal. And then, somewhere along the way, I realized that just because you can't move forward doesn't mean that you should stop moving altogether. Sometimes, the only way to keep moving is by taking a step to the side. These sideways steps are intentional pivots. They're moments where you adjust your direction based on the new circumstances in your life, while you continue to grow and progress as an individual. But in these moments, you don't actually feel like you're making progress. You feel like you're being delayed, like you're taking detours. You feel like you're falling behind while everyone around you continues to go straight ahead. Your friends still get internships. Your coworkers still gain promotions. And even though you know that your situation is different, it's so difficult not to compare yourselves to them, because comparison has a funny way of turning someone else's progress into proof that you're falling behind. But I forced myself to realize this and realize that the idea of success is meant to be personal and not relevant to those around me. And I continued down my own path. And now, as I stand here and reflect and look back at the sideways steps that I took, I see that they opened doors for me that I never would have even considered. They brought me here, to BGSU, where I've made some of my closest friends, where I've gotten involved in the community, where I've taken on leadership roles, and where I've experienced so much personal growth that never would have happened had my plan worked the way that I imagined it would. The choices that I made and the pivots that I took are ultimately the reason that I'm standing here today, sharing this story and this idea with you all. And those opportunities became chances for me to learn. And through the sideways steps, I did learn. I learned so many valuable lessons that have shaped me into who I am today. And in the moments where everything felt uncertain, I couldn't control the outcome. I couldn't control the timing, nor what I had lost. But I could control the controllables. I could control my effort and my mindset. And I could control the choices and the decisions that I made next. And slowly, I began to realize that the version of success that I wanted in my life didn't disappear when my plan did. It simply needed to be redefined to fit the new life that I was living and the new plan that I was following. I've always viewed success as a light at the end of the tunnel, where you have to stay on a linear path and the light is at the end. But real life doesn't allow that. At some point, every person in this room will experience something and be forced to make a change. And when that time comes, you'll likely have to redefine how you view success within your own life. Sometimes success means adjusting your path. Sometimes it's about pursuing a new opportunity. Sometimes it's about learning something new about yourself and continuing to grow as a person. For me, I learned to redefine success to resemble adaptation, adapting to the new circumstances, adapting to the new opportunities, and adapting to become a person that you want to be and that you already have as you move through your life. Because success isn't about sticking to the linear plan. It's about how you respond when things don't go as expected. There are so many students and young professionals in this generation that are living under the weight of comparison and expectation. And they constantly measure themselves against someone else's path, and they treat any adjustment as proof that they're falling behind. But no two people are ever on the exact same timeline. Some people are building, some are healing, some are starting over, and others are simply trying to keep moving by taking intentional sideways steps. Because unexpected things will happen. Your timelines will change, and your plans will change. But that doesn't mean that progress has to stop. And when those moments come, don't rush and force everything back to the way that it was. Instead, pause. Take a sideways step. Make an intentional pivot. And ask yourself, does the version of success that I've been chasing all this time still fit the life that I am living? Because sometimes it doesn't. And the challenge there isn't the setback itself. It's about learning how to adapt in a way that allows you to keep moving towards your new, redefined version of success. Thank you.